May hearing po ngayong araw sa Kamara kaugnay sa umano'y pangingikil sa Czech company na Inekon sa bidding noon para sa mga bagong-bago ng MRT. Pakinggan po natin ito, mga kapuso.
And we have invited guests. We are honored to have with us the presence of the Honorable Secretary June Abaya. Thank you for coming, Mr. Secretary. We also have with us some personalities invited whom we will recognize later. Meanwhile, we will recognize the presence of our distinguished members. Congressman Barzaga, one of the Vice Chair. Congressman Jerry Treñas, Vice Chair. Congressman Agapito Guanlao, Vice Chair. Congressman Antonio Tinio, Congressman Andres Salvacion, and the author himself on one of the resolutions, Congressman Tobias Tiangco. And may we request the Secretary to inform the body as to who were the invited guests or resource persons in today's hearing. May we recognize the presence of Congressman Colmenares? Ms. Secretary? Congressman Batucabe is also recognized.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, honorable members of this committee. We have, for today's meeting, invited the following resource person: Ambassador Joseph Richter of the Czech Republic in the Philippines. We also invited from the DOTC, Secretary Joseph Emilio A. Abaya. He is also here already. We have invited the following Undersecretary of the DOTC, Undersecretary Jose Perpetual Lotilia, Undersecretary, yes, they are all here, Your Honors.
Please raise your right hand at least when you are recognized.
We also have the Undersecretary Catherine Gonzalez, Undersecretary Rene Limcauco, and from the MRT3, the General Manager, Attorney Al S. Vitangcol III, Your Honors.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
just a question lang. Because I think Mr. De Vera is an important cog here. So was he invited at all, Mr. Chair?
Can you answer that, Ms. Secretary?
The Secretariat exerted effort to find out the address, but we were not able to locate the personality requested.
Didn't we ask the OTC or MRT3 about the whereabouts of Mr. De Vera? After all, he issued an affidavit, if I remember recently. There must be an address there. Didn't they have a copy of... Because siya ang punot do, I mean, he can explain a lot of things here. That's why it's crucial na makasama sana siya, Mr. Chair.
Well, the chair at first was of the thinking that he should be around. But in the first hearing after the referred resolution was taken by the committee and found out that the so-called or the alleged participation of Mr. De Vera will anchor on the affidavit of the ambassador as well as the other fellow. And since the affidavit then forwarded to the committee were mere pieces of paper, they were Xerox copies and without the corresponding signature, much less notarized, we decided not to recognize that piece of paper, and we decided finally to invite the Czech Republic ambassador again. And I asked the secretary if she knows the whereabouts or per record the whereabouts of Mr. De Vera. And she told me this representation was informed by the secretary that we could not really locate the address of Mr. De Vera. Perhaps in this hearing, later on, we will be able to find out the exact address of Mr. De Vera. Then if there is a need to invite him, we will do so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we can get his address. Maybe the resource persons here would know We can get it from Comelec. He has a registered voter, presumably. The affidavit in itself would have the address. With regards to the importance of his testimony, I think it is really a foregone conclusion that his testimony is important. He's in the middle of the whole thing. So I'd like to
There is no debate
ask
on that.
yes, thank you for that support, Mr. Chair. So I'd like to ask the committee to summon Mr. Rivera next hearing, Mr. Chair, for his testimony, especially since he denied everything. So he should have the guts to come over here and stand pat on his denial about the whole thing, Mr. Chair.
Per suggestion, the committee secretary is directed to take note of the motion of Congressman Colmenares for Mr. De Vera to be around next hearing of
Thank you.
two
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
resolutions. Now, yes, Congressman Dobias.
Just for the record, no, this is not the first time that it has been requested. I'm reading the minutes of the last meeting. It was requested by Congresswoman Herminia Roman that Mr. M. De La Cruz, Mr. Willie De Vera, and Mr. Maralit be invited. So for the record, I think the only problem was that there was no address. So I think for the next hearing, the Secretariat should exert all possible efforts to locate the address of Mr. De Vera.
Noted, Congressman Tiangco. Now, with respect to the invited guests, you must have noticed that the good secretary is around. Mr. Bitangkol is around. The other three undersecretaries invited are around. The only personality invited not around is the Czech Republic Ambassador, Ambassador Joseph Richter. But the committee, I saw it just last night before I went out of office. The secretary of the committee gave me a copy of the letter of the ambassador with the following content. Mr. Chairman of the Committee on Good Governance, with reference to your letter dated April 29, 2014, I feel deeply honored by your invitation to appear at the public hearing on the MRT's case. I wish to thank the Honorable Chairman for this opportunity to put on record my position on this matter as the official representative of the Czech Republic in the Republic of the Philippines. And close to this letter, you will find the affidavit which I signed on October 11, 2013, duly notarized by the Jimeno, Cope, and David law offices. It is the same declaration which I provided to the National Bureau of Investigation and the Ombudsman when they invited me to their respective offices, and which they still conduct their investigation. It is my hope that this document will bring relevant source of information for the work in the Committee on Good Governance. From the reason in the above-mentioned current NBI investigation, and also due to my termination of my diplomatic term in Philippines in the coming days, I kindly ask you to excuse my absence at your hearing. With assurances of my highest esteem, I remain very sincerely yours, Joseph Richter, Ambassador of the Czech Republic to the Republic of the Philippines. And attached to that letter is his signed now, duly signed affidavit and duly notarized by the Jimeno, Cope, and David law officers. This is the latest. May I recognize at this stage also the presence of Congressman Bello. Now, I requested the Secretary to furnish the members of the committee.
Mga kapuso, yan po ang pagsisimula ng pagdinig sa Kamara kaugnay dito sa issue ng tangkang pangingikil umano sa isang Czech company na Inekon. Inibitahan ng Kamara ang iba't ibang mga opisyal ng DOTC kasama na ang nagbitiw sa pwesto na General Manager ng MRT na si Attorney Al Vitangkol III. Inibitahan din ang nag-akusa dito kay Vitangkol na si Czech Ambassador Joseph Richter, pero nagpadala na lamang ito ng affidavit at ng sulat na hindi siya makakadalo dahil matatapos na rin daw ang kanyang paglilingkod sa Pilipinas bilang Czech Ambassador. Yung isa pa po, si Mr. Wilson De Vera, na isa pa sa mga inaakusahan ng pangingikil, ay hindi dumalo sa pagdinig ng Kamara.